Hello, Rafi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2025.
All good. I hope that I actually got the slides on properly. So,
Okay, first of all, I want to introduce you to our audience. Okay. Rafi is an award-winning business consultant and entrepreneur with over 20 years in the automotive industry. As a founder of Car Mechanical Services, she has championed sustainability and diversity with 40% female trainers. She has served as an executive at the Motor Trade Association MTA Act for 15 years, advocating for industry improvements through just standards. She empowers women in leadership, mentoring the next generation of corporate leaders. The stage is
thank
all
you so much.
yours, Rafi.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So, I'm just trying to let me get my slides. Okay. Okay. You ready? Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. I want to start with a quote that resonates deeply with me. The glass ceiling isn't made about glass at all. It's built from those invisible barriers and unconscious biases and those outdated systems. The good news is, like any barriers, it can be broken. So today we are not just going to discuss why these barriers exist, but more importantly, how we can actually shatter them and how together we can pave those ways for women to rise, thrive, and lead in business. So I'm Rafis Groy, a professional business strategist and leadership consultant, where I specialize in transforming businesses through strategic leadership development and inclusive practices. As an entrepreneur, I know have found multiple international award-winning businesses and currently are servicing in several boards. So I understand firsthand the challenges and opportunity in today's business landscape. I also serve as the CEO of Car Mechanical Services, a leading auto repair centre in Canberra with 20 years of legacy of excellences. And as an industry advocate, I'm driving revolutionary cultural change in the automotive sector, breaking down those gender barriers and creating inclusive opportunity for women. I'm proud to have transformed our workplace culture where 40% of our trainees are now female and is a testament to our commitment to diversity and inclusion. Through my role as an industry advisor, I combine hands-on industry experience with strategic leadership development to advocate for that meaningful change. My mission extends beyond running a successful business. I'm dedicating to reshaping the automotive industry future by creating pathway for women to thrive in a very traditional male-dominated industry. From my background and extensive experience in business development, I work passionately to break down those barriers for women in business and in leadership. Through some coaching, consultancy, and industry advocacy, I help business owners and leaders to create sustainable and profitable enterprise while fostering those inclusive environments where everybody can succeed. As an author and an industry advisor, I am very committed to sharing practical strategies and insight that drive meaningful change in the business world. So my mission is simple: to empower the next generation of leaders to break down those barriers and achieve their full potential. But before we dig deeper into those invisible barriers, just see what happened with the slide. Okay. Sorry, little technical hiccup. So before we dig deeper into those invisible barriers, let's first look at where we stand today in terms of women in business. As 2023, women hold 29% of leadership roles globally, and the numbers are even lower in senior and executive position, with only 60% of women are leading in male-dominated industry and only 3% training as an apprentice. So The wage gap continuing to persist, where women earns an average of 82 cents for every dollar earned by men. And this gap is even wider for women in trades. Despite the progress we have made, there is still the broken rug phenomenal. So few women are being promoted to managerial position and setting the stage for stagnation in senior role and leadership. But here's the things, the future is ours one. And if we can challenge this trend, we can make real lasting change. So understanding visible barrier is something that we need to really look into deeper. So let's take a closer look at invisible barrier and what really holds women back in business and leadership. So from hiring to promotion, unconscious biases are all around us. Women, especially women of minority groups, often have to work harder to prove themselves simply because of ingrained stereotypes. And women often face that paradox. If they are assertive and confident, they're labeled as bossy or aggressive. But if they are soft-spoken, they are dismissed as weak or indecisive. And this dynamic is one of the most damaging barriers to women leadership and in business. So it's that kind of dilemma, the double bind. Either I am too aggressive or I'm too soft. And then there is always that trap of likability versus competence. So women often find themselves walking a fine line between being liked and being respected, or being too warm can make them seem less competent, while being too competent can make seem less likable. So there is one really strong tools that we can use. And one of the things that I notice it every time I either in coaching or even in any of my business, there is always that lack of mentorship and sponsorship. So many women face the absence of role model and mentors. So who can help them navigating those complexity of climbing the corporate ladder. So many women face the constant need to prove themselves again and again, even after achieving success, while their male counterpart may not even face the same scrutiny. So that, again, you see that pattern, prove it again and again. So we are constantly under that sort of scrutiny. But one of the biggest of, all visible barrier that, many others been talking about it in the last 5 to 10 years, has always been that imposter syndrome. So understanding the imposter syndrome in women is it's really important, because that's how we can stick together and help each other. So the imposter syndrome is what is it? So it's actually that persisting feeling of feel self-doubt, feel inadequate, feel exposed as a fraud, and sometimes even despite that sort of competence and success, we still feel like we're not belonging here. So women in particularly internalize those feelings, attributing their factor rather than their own abilities. And this self-sabotaging mindset can lead to anxiety, stress, and reluctance to take on new challenges. And we see this one over and over in multiple scenarios. Even if you are in leadership, you're running your own business. So it's something really important again. And I'll draw your attention again on that mentorship and sponsorship. I'm often saying to people, if we think about the brotherhood and the sisterhood, the brotherhood is something real, something that regardless if they know each other in the workplace for a long time or not, they really stick together and they value one another. Sisterhood is still very weak. We still don't do enough sister to sister to elevate ourselves and to just actually promoting our colleagues or our friends around in a workplace. And so there is some, obviously, those common signs and symptoms, which is, I want to explore with you to just, and I'm quite sure you probably felt this over and over again. So that self-doubt, constantly questioning one's own abilities and feeling, undeserving of that success. The perfectionism, we want to always set in those excessively high standard, and sometimes we actually are our own fault or mistake and failure. We work tirelessly to prove one another. We just want to always feel satisfied with accomplishment. There is that fear of failure, avoiding new opportunity of challenge due to a fear of not measuring up. And so again, obviously, there is factor contributing to that imposter syndrome in women. And there is obviously several societal and cultural factor. So the gender stereotype is always the main contributor to that. So there is always that cultural norms of stereotypes that undermines women's ability of to be confident, and the lack of representation. Fewer visible female role models in leadership and high achieving position obviously make us feel like we still don't belong there. And the workplace culture, environments that do not support diversity, equity, and inclusion cannot actually succeed, and they make us feel like, always inadequate. So what can we do to overcome that imposter syndrome? So there is a little bit of strategies and tips, that we can actually take on. And I'm always suggesting to do really simple day-to-day exercise. It could be like, keep a record of those accomplishments and celebrate those milestones, no matter how small or big they are. So acknowledge your achievement. It's really important. We need to start acknowledging our achievement. We need to start to challenge those negative thoughts and replace it with self-critical thoughts. How can I actually improve myself? And how can I actually deliver more to my colleagues, to my workplace, to my corporate, and ultimately even to society? And seek that support. Share your feelings with trusted mentors. It's really important that we can provide that perspective and we can have that encouragement out of that. So set those realistic goals. So break down those tasks into manageable steps. And you know what? Embrace those failures. Understand that setbacks are part of growth and an opportunity to learn and improve. So those practice of self-compassion can make us feel like, we treat ourselves in that kindness and understanding. And just as you would support a friend or anybody in a similar circumstances. So, and most importantly, we need to understand that your presence here is not an accident. We actually here because we do belong here. We worked really hard for it, and it's our time to shine, right? So, and again, there is always like strategies that we can put in place to actually improve ourselves and to become even stronger. And so how do we break those, through those barriers? These little strategies can really truly push you to break that glass ceilings. So it's all about building your professional arsenal. So in today's world, how you present yourself is critical. A strong personal brand gives you visibility and sets you apart. So strong leadership is about more than technical knowledge. It's about emotional intelligence, empathy, and collaboration. So cultivate that essential leadership skills, develop that strong personal brand, and define where you want to go and how you plan to get there. So map out your journey, map out your career trajectory, identify milestone, and stay flexible when opportunity arises. Sometimes we just really focus on few goals that we fix ourselves on, and we really don't take those opportunities that actually come in very spontaneously in our journey. So again, I can't really stress enough about the importance of networking with purpose. So the mentorship is crucial for career advancement. Find someone who's walked the path and learn from their journey. And at the same time, seek sponsor who will actively advocate for you. So aligned with those people who share your vision and values, that's very important. These alliances can help you open doors and provide valuable opportunity, and build those strategic alliances. Don't just like, for the sake of it, participate into everything. Just be selective. It needs to really align with your vision and your values. And don't be afraid. You need to start advocating for yourself. You need to negotiate in your technique. So don't shy away from asking what you deserve. Negotiation is not about being aggressive. It's about ensuring you are compensated fairly for your hard work. And speak up, take credit, and advocate for your accomplishment. The world won't know who you are unless you tell them. And so again, that visibility strategy, don't sit in the fourth row. You deserve to sit in the front row. I want to remember your name. I want to remember who you are. And I want to learn and listen. What do you got to offer? And advocate for change, both in your workplace or even in a large corporate world. The more we speak out about inequality, the more it becomes impossible to ignore. So to make lasting change, we must challenge the system. And to change sort of that system and challenging the gender inequality, we need to break in those chains. So when we talk about lasting change, we are not just discussing surface level fix or temporary solution. We are talking about dismantling and rebuilding the very system that have perpetuated gender inequality for generations. As someone who has spent 2 decades in the automotive industry, I witnessed firsthand the power of systematic change. I can tell you this, transformation is possible, but it requires both institutional commitment and individual courage, and a team ready to embrace that change. So I could not achieve what I did in my industry if I did not have a team and a leader, in this case, my husband, a male, that he was actually happy and ready to embrace that change. Let me share the reality from my world. At Car Mechanical Services, we have achieved 40% female training rate in our industry that traditionally sees single-digit female representation. This didn't happen by accident. It happened because we deliberately challenged and changed our system. Let's talk about what organizational change looks like. First, inclusive policies. These are not just documents that sit in your HR folders. They are living commitment that shape every decision we make. When I implemented inclusive policy in my automotive businesses, we didn't just say we welcome women. We changed our recruitment process, our workplace culture, and our leadership pathway to ensure we meant it. So everybody really went into that transformative cultural change. Second, we're tracking progress. As a business coach, I always tell my clients, what gets measured gets managed. So we need to really have concrete metrics, regular assessment, and transparent reporting. It's not enough to just saying we are doing better. We need to prove that with data. So, and third, again, mentorship program. We need to find the time to creating those opportunities. We need to support that system and creating spaces where formal mentorship programs are not just the nice things to have. They are essential for creating sustainable change. But organizations are not on, are only that half of the equation. Individual action matter just as much. So supporting other women is just about being nice. It's about being strategic. When I see a woman succeed in my industry, I don't just celebrate her success. I actively work to create pathway for others to follow. This is why I dedicated my time to coaching and mentoring women in business. So again, we often, talking about creating that systemic change. And to make that lasting change, we must challenge the system and have that opportunity where we're supporting women, we challenge those biases. And again, not just about that piece of paper or policy that we can just show off here and there. We really need to work hard to maintain that sort of change and support it. So I can't stress enough that, again, implementing that inclusive culture, it takes really great deal of courage. We're not here to say women's are better men or men's are better than women. We need to really just respect each other and respect that, we have a lot to offer. So we don't want to just be part of a system where we're going to be on participation ribbon. We're here because we really belong here and we want to make that change. So when another one, when we're just saying about challenging some bias, let me be clear, it's not always comfortable, but it's always necessary. I have to challenge biases in boardroom, in workshop floors, and in industry meetings. Each time we speak up, we crack another piece of that glass ceilings. So Here, what I want you to take away today. So look at your own organization, and are they truly, truly inclusive, or just traditionally acceptable? Because that traditionally acceptable, it's not enough. Are you measuring, and and what are those measurement telling you? Examine your metrics. Are they really have things in place that make you feel comfortable, and they are really inclusive in that? And considering your personal role, are you actively supporting other women's? Are you speaking up against bias? Because sometimes, like as I was mentioning before, the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Sisters always tending to, mind our own business. Oh, she can take care of herself. But you know what? The voice of many, it's what it makes the change. One voice is not enough to create that change. So, and remember this, systems don't change themselves. People change system, and it starts with each of us in this room today. So we need to really challenge that system and saying, we want to see the change, not just about talk. We need to start to walk the talk. And the question is whether we should challenge these systems. It's how boldly we are willing to do it. Because when we challenge system effectively, we don't just create temporary opportunity, we build lasting legacy. And that's what we need to concentrate on it. It's not just about a little stunt of ticking the box. We just really need to make that long lasting legacy for the future generation. So what can you do today? Again, each of us had the power to make a difference. Identify one invisible barrier in your organization. So what's holding women back from succeeding in your workplace? Pinpoint that and just keep repeating that to yourself and to your colleagues and to everybody that is actually, belonging to that corporation. Because when we identify that invisible barrier, we can actually come out stronger. So as for example, when I say an invisible barrier, it could be like simply, how you advertising position. Is that a position truly inclusive? Is that position taking consideration that obviously a woman has different, priority in life? Because, let's face it, as a women, we not just have to deal with our career and with our work progress, but we also, we get up every morning and we're thinking, okay, what I got to cook today? If my kids is going to get to school, did he bring his laptop? Did he charge his computer? I need to get home by 3 p.m. I need to do this. So we constantly have too many tasks and too many windows open. So again, one of those little strategy, simple tasks to do it straight away is like creating those little meeting rooms with, sponsors and mentors. Get those women's in the room. Let them talk about their sort of, fragility. Let's talk about, what the winning strength is, and just putting that to use. Help each other, because the community is a strong, powerful tool. And so when you identify those little, invisible barrier, take one concrete action to challenge it. Whether it's creating a mentorship program or speaking up about biases in the workplace, take action. Success is better when it's shared. Find ways to support the women around you and help them break through their own barriers. Lift one another. That's the best rewards and the best things that it can make every woman powerful. So we need to start empowering ourselves. And remember, the ceiling isn't glass, it's a mirror. So reflecting our determination to change the status quo. When we work together, there is no barrier we can't break. So I don't want to just, I would like to take some of your question if there is anything, and share some of your thoughts in all this that we talked today. But I would like to leave you with these thoughts. Each of us can contribute to shattering that glass ceilings. And it starts with believing that we can make a difference. It starts with embracing change, challenging those bias, and lifting each other up. Together we can break through, and in doing so, create a future where the glass ceiling is no longer existing. So please stick with our sisters and just let's create a truly inclusive and equal workplace, especially now. And I leave you for the month of International Women's Day. let's lift up each other. Let's pick one of our friends, colleague, or anybody that is actually working in our journey, either personal or professional, and just let's lift up those women, because when we stick together, we have a really strong, powerful bond. So I want to thank you so much for listening to me today. And please, if there is any question or anything you would like to share about your journey, I really would love to hear from you. So I can read some of your comments on the chat, and I can see Samantha saying alignment with vision and values is so important. Exactly. So we need to really, it's not just for the sake of it, of just saying we want to be, inclusive. We need to obviously keep in mind our values and mission. It's really important. So if there is anything you would like to share, I would like to hear from you and read it through the chats. And but yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. It was really lovely. Alicia, exceptional delivery with practical insight. I hope this can help, because sometimes, we're thinking too big and too high, but it's just the little thing that can make a true difference in day-to-day life.
Fantastic talk, Rafi. And we have a few questions from our audience. One of them is, what challenges do women face in the automotive sector, and how can organizations address them effectively?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, when we're talking about the automotive sector, it's always been a very male-dominated industry, so we don't have much representation. One of the biggest biases is always like a physical strength. So we're always thinking that if you work in automotive industry, you need to be strong. You need to be, that 7 tall man. But reality is, like, now with all the policy and requirement in place, like work health and safety and well-being, the same practices that is applied for a man is applied for a woman. So if you need to lift an engine, it's applied in the same way. So you need to have the engine lift to actually take the engine off the car. So regardless if you're a woman or man, you can do the same job. So what we're trying to change is actually that mentality from the employers, understanding that women can actually do exactly the same work that men do. And also just change, like it's happened in our workshop. My husband was very open to embrace that change and welcoming that, new reality to be inclusive. So it's all, again, as I was saying very broadly, it's about cultural change.
Thank you, Rafi. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right. So if there isn't any more question, I think I'd like to read through
and join our next session.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. You're broken up.
Yeah, you can stay in our backstage and join our next session.
No worries.